Hello everybody and welcome to the very first ever episode of General History, a new channel where we're going to look at my passion for strategic wargaming as well as history itself. The first game we're going to do in this channel is going to be Panzer Corps 2, the sequel to the 2011 game Panzer Corps, which in of itself was a sort of a spiritual successor to the old SSI uh, Allied General and Panzer Generals games of the 90s. These were games I spent a lot of time with, not just playing, but also like just standing over my dad's shoulder while he played. It was a game that we were really infatuated with. It really was the game that sort of got me into strategic wargaming and just strategy gaming and just history in general. That game, probably Close Combat, uh, Empire Earth, those games really defined my gaming childhood, especially when it came to strategic wargaming. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right in with a new game. Now, a small caveat, I have actually played through the whole campaign before, well at least the whole campaign through the Russian scenario, because this game allows you to play as the Germans all the way from the beginning of the invasion of Poland all the way to the fall of Berlin in 45, not 95. But you can also choose different starting points. So you have Poland, Barbarossa, North Africa, Kursk, and Italy. We're going to go ahead and start right at the very beginning in Poland. We're going to set the difficulty level to Colonel. Now, I am playing on the newest version of the game, which for me is going to be version 4. If you're watching this at a later date, it may be different at this time. Now, I believe in version 3 of the game, they sort of toned down the difficulty levels, because the game was actually extremely difficult. It took me a while just to get through the entire campaign on Colonel difficulty. The only difference between Colonel and General difficulty is the amount of prestige you get at the beginning, and I believe in subsequent missions. I have a problem managing my prestige to begin with, so I don't know if I want to go ahead and up the difficulty level. So we're going to play on Colonel, and we're going to start in Poland, 1939. As a newly minted general in the German Wehrmacht, it falls upon you to spearhead the German invasion of Poland and prove your mettle in combat. Always choose your avenue of assault wisely, as future decisions will dramatically impact your campaign and even even the course of the war. Strategic warning: more close quarters combat and sieges in the southern route, more mobile and open ground warfare in the northern route. So the game does do this at several points throughout the campaign. It allows you to choose which path you want to go. So as you can see, you can choose Poland South, which is the path of Army Group South during the war, which I believe was under Commander von Rundstedt, or you can choose to go Poland North, which obviously was Army Group North under von Bock, I believe. My first time playing through, I actually played the Poland North campaign, which took you to the opening skirmishes all the way to the Bug River. This time I'm going to play Poland South, which apparently is supposed to take you to Warsaw, in the Siege of Warsaw. So we're going to go ahead and play this. Okay, so as you can see, you're allowed to create your general. You can name them, but it really doesn't make any difference. You can also select your portrait. Again, doesn't make much difference because it doesn't really show. You never really see your portrait ever again. So, whatever. We'll just go ahead and do a blank portrait. They do allow you to pick strengths and weaknesses. Strengths obviously give you different abilities throughout the game, different perks, different bonuses to allow you to build your character. Weaknesses give you sort of a bit of a handicap throughout the game, but what they also do is allow you to pick more strengths. So looking through, and after already playing through once, what I'm going to go with is I'm not going to sit here and bore you by reading out what every single one of these does. I will show you a few, such as like night artillery. You can't purchase artillery, so why would you want to do that? Delayed reinforcements, you can't use replacements in the middle of battle. That could be pretty useful. because not often do I actually call in reinforcements in the middle of a battle, but it does happen, especially in the later stages, so I don't want to go and handicap myself that way. I am going to go ahead and do Green Army, though. Elite replacements are limited to 3 times per mission. Elite replacements, so all units have a sort of veterancy level. The higher the veterancy, the better they perform. You can keep their veterancy level up by calling in elite replacements throughout the mission. The only issue with this is elite replacements cost a whole lot of money. By bringing in green replacements, it's a lot cheaper, but you also take a veterancy hit. And again, because I'm really bad at maintaining prestige, I'm going to go ahead and take Liberator, which gives you 50% more prestige for capturing flags. As you can see, by picking Green Army, I actually have, these are the points you have to select. I have 3 more points. I went with Master of Blitzkrieg last time, and it really helped out, especially in these early battles where there's a lot of rivers. So we're going to go with Master of Blitzkrieg. It gives all tanks get 1+ movement point and cross minor rivers easier. I'm going to go with Deep Recon. It reveals the map around your objectives. It also gives a 5% accuracy bonus to all your recon units. And I believe the last one I decided I was going to go with was Deadly Grasp. When you encircle enemies, they already get a negative bonus because the idea is they aren't receiving supplies at that point, so they sort of wear down quicker. Deadly Grasp allows that to basically double, so they wear down a heck of a lot quicker than they would have normally. So we'll go ahead and do Deadly Grasp. And that's how we're going to play this throughout this campaign. So let's go ahead and start the invasion of Poland.
Guten Morgen, Herr General. You have my congratulations on your new promotion, but now is no time for flattery. I have been personally informed that the invasion of Poland, codenamed Fall Weiss, is to commence immediately. Preliminary estimates for the operation's completion was 3 months, but now High Command demands the conquest of Poland in weeks. Mere weeks. To this end, I have transferred a detachment of 10th Army's forces to be placed under your direct command, effective immediately. These men are well trained, but like you, they lack combat experience. I am certain they will serve you well, and that you will mold your new Panzer Corps as you see fit in due time. You should secure key crossings on the Vardar River quickly, to facilitate your movements and prevent the enemy from fortifying the river line or possibly destroying the bridges entirely. I have also been informed that our declaration of war will be arriving later. So, you should expect little, if any, resistance in the first few days of your advance. In fact, should you seize Kielce quickly enough, your forces may be able to block Polish mobilization efforts entirely. This would force the understrength Polish garrisons in the region to fight without reinforcements. I eagerly await to see the results of your first combat operation. Don't make me regret putting my trust in you, Herr General.
Alright, so here we go. We're about to cross the German border into Poland. Let's see, we already have some, I guess are we already across? I guess we're kind of already across the border. If we have Polish cavalry already up here. So we're going to go ahead and start this operation. Let's take a quick look at our forces first. So we have a couple artillery, including a mobile artillery piece, Storm Panzer. Looks like we have a Panzer 38T here, yep. Panzer 2 and Panzer 1. We have cavalry to the north, a couple Stuka dive bomber, a couple 109s, an armored car, and a bomber, as well as various infantry. 1 pioneer unit and 2 Wehrmacht infantry units. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this started. Go ahead and try and take out this cavalry unit. Okay. Let's see what. Alright, let's scout forward with the armored car. What's that? Let's see. It's an anti-tank unit. Okay. Alright, got him to retreat. And right back into the town. That's unfortunate. Okay. See if we can get these anti-tank guns out of here. We do get them to retreat. Usually you wouldn't want to attack, especially with the Panzer I anti-tank gun, but it's pretty weakened now. And we are able to wipe it out. Took a casualty though. Alright, so all we have left to move is our fighter units. And I think what I'll do is I'll guard the Stuka, just in case the Polish have some fighter units. Doesn't look like it. We never took a look at the objectives. Now it did say if we take Kielce quickly enough that they can't call in reinforcements. Usually bonus objectives are listed, but I guess it's not technically a bonus objective. I'm not sure. But we do have 3 towns to the north: Radom, Tomascow, and Polweny Bridge that we have to take. Alright, so let's go ahead and end this turn. So they do have fighter units, fighter bomber units. Charging forward with some cavalry. Charging my tanks. The Polish should learn not to do that. Although that's obviously, if you really look at the history of that, you hear that a lot. Most of that was German propaganda. That you would have Polish cavalry units charging forward into German tank divisions. It really never happened. Most of that comes from a specific charge. I believe it was Krogjanti is how it's pronounced. Where there was a massive cavalry charge on one of the early days of the invasion. It was actually aimed at a German infantry unit, and actually got that infantry unit to retreat. But then they ran into a line of German armored cars, which forced them to retreat. They actually didn't, in sort of hindsight, they didn't take that many casualties. Okay, get that guy destroyed. Go ahead and dive bomb these guys. In fact, there's a lot of myths that you could sit here and bust about sort of the invasion of Poland. A lot of times things are very just basically because of German propaganda, things tend to be very overblown about some of the things that happened, especially when it comes to the idea that the Polish just sort of bent over backwards and just got run over by the German blitzkrieg, as we tend to think of it today. The German and the idea of blitzkrieg is sort of again overblown. In fact, if you really look at the numbers and the dates, you actually see this pattern of the fact that, especially in Poland, it really wasn't so much of a blitzkrieg. When you think about it, when you think about the forces that they were facing, how overmatched really the Germans were compared to the Polish forces, and you look at just how long the Polish actually held off, they actually did a very good job of defending themselves against the Germans, especially in the early days. Now, as things got later in the war, and once the Soviets got involved, things definitely became a lot more difficult for the Polish. But really, when you look at some of the early battles, like Wisna, where the Polish were outnumbered 4-1 and yet held off for a very long period of time, the Battle of Mokra, which was actually the first German defeat of the war. When you look at these things, and you also look at how long, like I said, that the Polish held off, they held off against both not only the Germans but the Soviets towards the middle of September. Once they got involved, they actually were able to hold out for roughly 6 weeks, which is about the same amount of time that the French and British held off. So you think you have this minor nation in Poland being able to hold off the German Wehrmacht for such a well, not really a long period of time, and that's really where this idea of Blitzkrieg came from, because nobody thought at this time period, nobody really thought that one nation could conquer another nation so quickly. You know, we really see that today, and it's you know, especially with like the war in Iraq and things like that, and it's not that uncommon now, but at this point in time, especially coming off of World War I, it was really seen as this sort of almost impossibility that something like this could happen, which is, like I said, really where you get this idea of Blitzkrieg. In fact, if you actually look up the history of the word Blitzkrieg, you actually find that it wasn't even the Germans that coined the term. If I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken, but if I'm not mistaken, it was actually an American newspaper which coined the term Blitzkrieg. I believe it was actually either Time magazine or Life magazine. Like I said, don't quote me on that, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was one or the other which actually first used the term of Blitzkrieg. But especially once the Germans got to the gates of Warsaw, they especially had a lot of difficulty there. As you see, we didn't capture Kiev quickly enough, even though we moved our forces into position. So that's unfortunate. And now my pioneers are getting swarmed. So the Polish brought up a few tank units. They're using the TKS Tankette, which was a very light, I believe it was a 2-man tank, if you could really even call it that. It was about the size of the British Bren carriers, and it was equipped with a 20mm cannon, or it could also be equipped with a light machine gun. Okay, we'll go ahead and get these guys. Alright, sweet. I'm gonna take Hughes. That was pretty easy. Can't move him. But yeah, once the Germans got to the siege of Warsaw, and things really started to slow down. Now after Warsaw fell, the Poles only held off for, what was it, another week? I had to look it up. But yeah, they didn't hold off long, but they put up a much larger fight than I think the Germans were really expecting. So as you can see, because we weren't able to stop them in time, they are starting to reinforce their units. I don't know why they would leave the cover of the city there to move on my artillery gun, but I'll take it. Go ahead and just move my artillery into that town to take it. Obviously, it's not a good odds there, so I'm going to actually move these guys south and sort of flank up around them. Try and get in around and then circle them. I haven't taken this airport yet. This is the airport I need to take in order to move my bombers. So there's several different types of airports in this game that you could take. You have minor airports and you have larger ones. You have to be able to land your bomber at the larger one. This one up here is just a little dirt airport, so we're not able to actually move my bomber over there. Okay, so we still got these forces down here. So as you can see, the little tankettes are not very difficult to destroy. This guy over here. So not even infantry has much of a problem dealing with them. we're making a lot of ground, and we're only on turn 6, but I got a feeling that these forces here might be a little more difficult to take out. Especially seeing as I'm so spread out at the moment. Now granted, he's under strength, but he can't even do much damage to my Sturmpanzer. That's how so sort of weak these tankettes are. Alright, we got them to surrender. And we actually captured one. I don't think we'll actually ever use it, but we captured one. Go ahead and move these guys in range. Another new interesting trait about this game that you didn't have in the first Panzer Corps game is the fact that you actually do have to move your aircraft forward. In the last Panzer Corps game, it was actually just a they would fly around until they started running out of gas, and then you would just have to make sure you get them to an airport before they crashed. I don't want to move my armor into a town, so I want to keep them in the open where they can do more damage. And I did take this airbase down here, so let's go ahead and move this bomber forward. Go ahead, attack this infantry in the open. Alright. Alright, that's it for this turn. Alright. Dive bomb these men into town. Get all these infantry in the open. And we'll go ahead and carpet bomb rat them. Alright, move that tank unit up. Not to attack, because obviously he doesn't have very good odds, but just to get it behind him, and hopefully next turn we can get them encircled. I'm actually going to go ahead and replace these engineers. And I think that's it for this turn. Alright, moving on to turn 9. So they do counterattack my tanks, but they actually take really bad casualties. Comparatively so, at least. Send these guys on strafing runs, get my bomber. Again, keep knocking. So whenever you have stagnant units, so the units don't move, as you can see, they actually gain entrenchments. Now, when you're in towns, you actually have the possibility of making more entrenchments. So if we click on like one of my units that's out in the open, I believe it's like for every turn you don't move your unit, they gain an entrenchment. So that essentially they're building trenches, they're putting up breastworks, that kind of thing. Or let's put him there just to surround the town. He actually has good odds against this guy. Oh, because it's just a bridge. Bridges are harder to defend, so you get a bit of a bonus. Alright. Start pounding Tomskow. Probably will wait to next turn. I mean, it's 4 for 4 odds, but if I wait next turn, they're now encircled, their entrenchments will go down a little bit, and I'll be able to pound them a little bit more with artillery. Same with these guys here. In fact, I'm actually going to go ahead and spend some money and replace these guys, make sure they have full strength. Alright. These guys. So we get the overrun. Not that it really matters. Now we took both of these towns. fighters have no targets now. Keep bombing at them. Alright, see, now we're 1 to 5. That's much better odds. Alright, now the infantry's in the open. I can hit them with my tank units. Hopefully get them to surrender. We do. Okay. Hopefully rat them will fall this turn as well. Not quite. Unless this tank unit can force him out, which he does. Doesn't get him to surrender, but we'll go ahead and take the town. That'll end this mission. And there you have it. Poland South, the first opening engagements of the war are complete. We have achieved victory. My Air Force were my best units, which was pretty simple because they really didn't have anybody going up against them. The only thing we fought were those fighter bombers. But not too bad opening engagement. Didn't really take too many casualties. Got it done in pretty short order. So yeah, I'll take it. I'll take the victory. Next episode, we'll look at the subsequent battle in the Poland invasion, which should be for Poland South, the siege of Warsaw. So look forward to that. Hopefully you'll tune in. Thank you for watching. And this is who am I? General History signing out.